hey, welcome to my house. I was just sitting here looking at these cookies trying to decide which ones I wanted to keep and which ones were total trash and needed to be thrown away. Now you might be saying to me, Haley, aren't all cookies delicious? Aren't they all made with sugar and fatty ingredients in the perfect combination that makes us want to eat them nonstop? And to that I say, no, you fool. Some of these are absolute trash. Let's just say for funsies that there's 327 million cookies in the entire United States. So today, in order to represent the 327 million cookies, I'm going to reduce it to 327, so I don't have too many cookies in my house and get diabetes or have to invite friends over during COVID. It's a complicated world. Some of our most favorite American cookies include Oreos. Now let me just say, is anybody eating it for the vanilla? No. If they're eating it for the vanilla, those vanilla cookies would be much more popular. Or the reverse would be more popular. It's for the chocolate. Maria cookies. Nilla wafers. Who the fuck eats these? Nope. I fucking hate these cookies. Fortune cookies. And fry bread. Oops. I already took a bite out of it. I thought it was mine. Anyway, I know what you're thinking. Haley, that's not a cookie. And you're right, it's not. But for, let's say, about 1% of the population who, for some reason, might not have enough money to buy a package of cookies, this is an extremely popular dessert. Just a couple of very cheap ingredients, a little bit of butter and cinnamon sugar, and voila, it's practically a cookie. Alright, let's plate up some cookies. There we go. Really? Oh my god. You'd think they were worried about coronavirus. Okay, so here we have the cookies of the United States. I didn't have enough room for all of the Nilla wafers, so I needed another tray for Nilla wafers. As far as our fry bread goes, I guess I'll break it up into about 3 pieces. As you can see, I decided to separate the cookies by which type they were. Don't want those flavors rubbing on each other. A lot of people have asked me, Haley, what makes a cookie bad? To be honest, I don't really know. As far as I can tell, there's no rhyme or reason to it. It seems to be based off of one's personal taste and preferences. Any old cookie can go bad anytime. It might also have something to do with the way that a cookie is made. Even bakers that have the finest ingredients can completely fuck up a cookie if you don't follow the recipe. If you rush making a cookie, your cookie's gonna taste like shit and it's gonna have to be thrown away. But if you really take the time to assemble the ingredients the way that they're supposed to be, follow the instructions, your cookie's gonna be great. Jeepers. Now for the difficult task of deciding which cookies need to be thrown away. Well, I'd say that went over pretty well. Let's take a closer look to figure out which cookies ended up in the trash. 2 vanilla wafers, about 2 Maria cookies, 2.5 Oreo cookies. Don't worry, I left the white part out of the trash. A piece of fry bread, and a little crumb of fortune cookie. Now, looking at this tray, hardly anyone could say that I'm being really discriminatory. It looks relatively evenly handed, doesn't it? I mean, there's almost 2 for each one, except for these tiny little crumbs, because, well, they didn't really come from very large populations anyways. Well, guess what? To say that I'm not being discriminatory is absolute bullshit. And the reason why I'm saying that is because it actually has to do with other factors. The part of the math problem that doesn't have to do with this specific population, but rather the rest of the cookies that I have. And in order to really understand that, you really have to understand ratio and proportions. So, come on, you old fool. Let's go to the ratio department. Welcome to the ratio department. Now, what I really want to talk about is how the trash, although it didn't really seem discriminatory, is discriminatory. Because it's not really about what's in the trash, rather, where the things that were put into the trash came from. Don't worry, I'll explain. Let's take out a couple cookies, for example. Now, here I have 2 vanilla wafers and the 2.5 Oreo cookies. These are almost the same amount of cookies that came out of the trash, yet take a closer look at their piles. Here, these 2 Nilla wafers actually came from a pile of 253 Nilla wafers. So for them to end up in the trash, they actually only have less than 1% chance of ending up in the trash. If you were any one of these Nilla wafers, it would be 1 out of 127 that end up in the trash. Nothing to worry about, right, Nilla wafers? Don't know how you get away with it. Now, meanwhile, if you were an Oreo cookie that ended up in the trash, you came from a much smaller pile. In fact, you came from a pile of 44. That's going to be an extremely different ratio. So if you were an Oreo cookie, you would have a 5% chance of ending up in the trash. That's because your pile was much smaller. There's only 44 Oreos in that pile. So technically, you could say that 1 out of almost 24 Oreos will end up in the trash. That's 5 times more likely than the chance of a Nilla wafer ending up in the trash. Doesn't sound fair to me. Also, that sounds relatively discriminatory. Tulip, what do you think? Yeah, no, they all look good for eating to me too. So remember, folks, when making generalizations, these piles aren't the fucking same. There are many things that we need to dig through. We probably also need better education. More math. So please, for the good of everybody, stop taking things at face value. Do not ever look at a piece of data and think that that's the only part of the story. Get better at interpreting data. Get better at seeing multiple layers. And generally just being a open-minded, critical thinking human. Try to be a little bit more helpful. Stop throwing away cookies just because you think that they're bad. Taste them first. You're gonna like them, I promise.